Hunt Palmer coming to you potentially from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. May potentially have some technical difficulties here that we're working through at the moment. But hopefully we're off and running here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Got a lot to do in the event that we're on the air currently. We'll figure it out one way or another. But today, going to talk with Sonny Shipp coming up in 15 minutes about Lamar Brown's commitment. It's What If Wednesday as well. Saints debuted a new helmet. Major League Baseball is going to use robot umpires for the All-Star game next week. Plus, got some more recruiting talk to get to. And Joey McGuire from Texas Tech had some things to say regarding LSU at Big 12 Media Days yesterday, so we'll get into all of that over the course of the next 2 hours. If you've got questions for What If Wednesday, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter or, of course, in the Bayou Ford chat right there on YouTube. We'll get to those. Got a lot of those coming in on Twitter either way here over the last hour. A lot of baseball questions, some football questions as well, including should the SEC go back to divisions, which is an interesting thought that I'll get to coming up here at 2:30. Again, our Wednesday show is brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Looking to get into the pool of your dreams? Renaissance Homes and Pools can make that happen for you. My guy Joey Blanchard has been doing it for decades here in Baton Rouge, and he can do it for you. If this time of year you're thinking about, man, it's hot, just would love after work to just take a dip. On the weekend, we'd love to hop in, grab a cocktail, or if you've got kiddos or grandkids, think, man, it'd be an awesome thing for them to do, kind of a big babysitter. Renaissance Homes and Pools can do that for you. Go see some of their great work and contact them at builtbyrenaissance.com. That's builtbyrenaissance.com. You can see just what's going on there at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Anywhere here in the Baton Rouge area, you can make that happen. Be the folks at Renaissance Homes and Pools. Outdoor kitchens, swimming pools, it's all there. Renaissance Homes and Pools. They bring you our Wednesday shows each and every day. We'll get into it, I guess. Sitting here, I'm not even sure if the folks on YouTube got us, and I think y'all have us here terrestrially. Sounds like YouTube's up and running as well, so we're off and moving here. I want to talk about a specific soundbite that I heard yesterday that really piqued my interest. Now, the reason it piqued my interest is because it had some weight behind it. I have spent parts of 15 years in press conferences. I have listened to 15 years plus of interviews on the radio and on television, and I tell y'all all the time, even though I'm in the soundbite business, I find most sound bites to be pretty hollow. This day and age, people know how to answer questions without causing a stir, without creating a ruckus, without causing friction or controversy. And we'll sit at SEC Media Days next week, and we will hear a lot of coach speak. We will hear a lot of rehearsed player speak. We will hear a lot of sound bites that are, we're excited, we're confident, we're the best we've ever been. Don't want to say anything disrespectful about that team. Feel great about that team. They're going to be a tough team to match up with. We feel good about ourselves. You're just not going to get a lot of substance. Now, it's our job as radio hosts, as beat writers, as television broadcasters to get some of those good quotes out, and that's certainly something that we take to heart. But the fact of the matter is that no matter what you do at points, you can diffuse a question pretty quickly if you've been trained to do that, and a lot of athletes and certainly a lot of coaches have been. Now, Matt had Ori Williams on his show yesterday. Ori Williams, a redshirt freshman offensive lineman, and he was great on the show. I highly recommend you go back and check out that interview on demand if you can. I also wrote about it at louisianasports.net. If you'd rather read, I've got a lot of the best quotes that are in that story that I put up earlier this morning. He was great, but one of his answers very, very much stood out over the rest of them. In fact, do we have that sound? We can play it. Okay, now listen to Matt ask this question, and I'll tee it up here. Matt asked the question of Ori Williams, does anybody stand out among the young guys on the offensive line? And before Matt can even finish the question, Ori Williams blurts out an answer, and that to me means there's some substance there. Here's the question and the answer from Ori Williams.
Give me somebody, a name that impresses you, that you go, dude, watch that guy. Athleticism, speed, power, whatever. Who? Say again?
Curtis Kern.
Kern.
Curtis Kern.
Why?
Curtis Kern. he's an athlete all around. He's a dude. You know, he's strong as ever. You know, and he just comes in with the right mindset and attitude every day, ready to work. And he can definitely move people off the ball. He's a freak of nature.
He said his name 5 times. Karis Kern, Karis Kern, Karis Kern, Karis. I mean, like, could not wait to get that name out. And to me, that means, okay, this is not a question that Ori Williams was prepared for. This is not on a script. This is, he heard that question, and there was no doubt in his mind what his answer was going to be. It was going to be Karis Kern. And that is interesting to me because you are looking at an offensive line here that really doesn't return a starter. Like, yes, DJ Chester is returning. He was your center last year. Was he an all-conference center? No. Did they bring in a center that probably profiles as a better center in Braylon Moore? Yes. So that means DJ Chester probably moves positions, and that means you don't have a single starter back, okay? So it is a free-for-all on that offensive line as to who's going to get some spots. And right now, if I asked most LSU fans, myself included, to handicap that race on the offensive line, I'm giving you Braylon Moore at center. I'm giving you DJ Chester and Josh Thompson at the guards. I'm giving you Weston Davis and Tyree Adams at the tackles. I feel like that's likely the first 5 today. But I think you would be foolish to discount Paul Mabenga. Bo Bordelon has been here now for 2.5 years. Ori Williams is physically monstrous and has worked at guard now. Cohen Eccles got some snaps last year. And you look at the freshmen in Solomon Thomas and Tyler Miller along with Kern, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of depth there because I just gave you 12 names. So Brad Davis is a lot of guys. But if you want me to peg a guy that is likely as a young player to come steal some reps, I just take Ori Williams' word for it, quite frankly, because that was a very, very demonstrative answer to that question. We saw Kern a lot in the spring. We saw him working at guard. We saw him work a little bit at tackle as well. You look at his measurables, he's 6'5", 335 pounds. If you watch on the internet, he does backflips. If you saw the internet yesterday and today, he's throwing up massive, massive weight on the bench press. That's been shown. You're talking about a guy that can throw up 425 pounds with what looks to be fairly minimum effort. He athletically, strength-wise, the whole package is ridiculous. And there's a reason that On3 ranked him the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country last year. And it's starting to show itself. And not only is he a freshman who is immensely talented as we sit here in July, he got the whole spring to work. So he knows some of the ins and outs of the offense. He's been in the strength and conditioning program since Christmas. He's worked at multiple places and for the coaching staff that's going to be coaching him this fall. All these pieces line up to me for a guy that could crack his way into the lineup pretty quickly. And to me, like, very, very rarely, like, I've never seen a Will Campbell situation. I've never seen a freshman offensive lineman come in and the head coach go to the microphone and say, 2 weeks into spring ball, he's the left tackle. Like, I've never seen that. But what you have seen a little bit more over the last few years, call it a decade, is freshmen coming in and playing on the offensive line. You saw Trey Turner do this as a redshirt freshman. Vidal Alexander played as a freshman. Of course, you know that you saw Will Campbell and Emory Jones play as freshmen. Like, we have seen freshmen come in and take snaps. And I feel like you could be looking at an Emory Jones type situation here with Karis Kern. Emory Jones was a high 4-star, 5-star recruit, came in, did not start the opener against Florida State, but they quickly looked at that offensive line and went, I think we can upgrade talent here. Boom. Put Emory Jones in there the second week. He never came out of the lineup. And I'm not telling you that definitely Karis Kern's going to start at Clemson. I'm not telling you he's definitely going to start in week 2 against Louisiana Tech or against Florida. He could. But it feels like at some point, midway through the season, Karis Kern might find his way through. Because as I look at this offensive line that I mapped out to you, with Moore at the center spot, Chester and Thompson at the guards, and Adams and Davis at the tackles, like, Kern is as physically gifted as any of them, and more so than a couple. So it's not surprising when LSU recruits and develops a big-time offensive lineman under Brian Kelly. You just watched 4 of them that you could basically say LSU developed. That's 3 years for all 4 of them, at least, that had been at LSU. And they're all being drafted. It's just what Brian Kelly's system does. And Kern feels like he very well could be the next guy in line for that spot. So, I strongly recommend you go back and listen to Ori Williams. He was great on Matt's show yesterday. But that answer, where he demonstratively said Carius Kern's name 5 times, as someone who listens to press conferences for a living, I just went, oh, whoa, okay. There's something behind that. He's not just making that up. So, very, very cool, and feels like LSU's got a potential star there in Carius Kern. That is our Genesis opening drive here on this Wednesday. We are off and running. Apologize for that technical difficulty right there at the top, but we are moving along right now, and so we got a lot to do over the next hour and 45 minutes or so. We've got to do What If Wednesday coming up in 15 minutes. I've got some thoughts on the Saints' new helmet, automatic balls and strikes. We've certainly got another recruiting update coming at 2:15. We'll talk about Joey McGuire's thoughts on LSU playing at Texas Tech in the second hour. When we come back, big day for LSU's football program and Texas A&M's program tomorrow. Lamar Brown, one of the top players in the nation, set to announce just before our show starts tomorrow. Sonny Shipp's going to give us the latest when we come back. Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, insurance is not a lot of fun to talk about, I know. But I've seen it personally positively impact businesses by helping in a catastrophic situation. It is storm season. It's here. Don't wait until after that storm blows through to check your business interruption policy. Don't wait until that storm blows through to check your co-insurance penalties. Don't wait until that storm goes through to see what your wind and hail deductible or named storm deductible is. Do it now. And if you don't know where to start there, well, that's an issue. And the Highland Insurance Group is happy to help you with that. They audit policies, look at policies, review policies for free. So if you'd like a second set of eyes to make sure your business is in the right spot as we move into storm season, the Highland Insurance Group is happy to help you with that. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.
Family owned and community driven.
Service Chevrolet Cadillac, a legacy you can trust since 1972. Service Chevrolet Cadillac, our family serving your family.
For over 50 years.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Parrish Construction and Roofing.
This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parrishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs.
From your hometown, parrishbuilt.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotion.
It feels like nobody really knows what's going to happen, but I felt better as an LSU guy reading the TexAg stuff, because if you felt like Texas A&M really had a ton of confidence, that would be really deflating to read from my perspective, because we know that the folks that cover LSU for all those outlets have certainly not come out and gone, LSU is definitely the team to beat here. And you never really know. I got offered a job to cover recruiting back in 2012. And I gave it a long, hard thought. And it would have taken me away from football, really away from basketball, and certainly away from baseball. And I thought, that's not really what I want to do. And at that point, I had a certain view of recruiting that was like, it's vital, and you've got to get it done. And it's maddening, but it's something you got to follow. And I've evolved over the course of, 11 years to where now I look at it and I go,
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
okay. There is a stab. It
No,
works.
sorry. Yeah,
it's working
we
well.
were just testing it out to make sure it worked, and it worked.
did.
Yes.
So can we go to break and talk to Sonny?
Yes.
That'd be awesome. Let's do it.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Men, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies. We've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability. Because your well-being is more than a priority, it's our purpose.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Sonny, Shipp, 24/7 Sports, good enough to give us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday, and it's a big one in his line of work as Lamar Brown set to make his announcement tomorrow early afternoon from here in Baton Rouge. Let's talk about it with Sonny. How we doing, sir?
Good, brother. How about you?
I'm good. It seems that a lot of folks are looking into this recruitment, but nobody seems to have a definitive lean. Is that where you stand?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that, and I kind of go back to where, pre-NIL era, when you would tell folks, 2 days before an announcement, like, look, this kid's going back and forth, and a lot of people would be like, there's no way this kid's going back and forth. There's no way. Well, and now I think they realize, because back then we knew that there was always shady stuff going on under the table in recruiting, and now you finally get to see that, yes, these kids are going back and forth, and a lot of that is because, offers change, better, opportunities change. And that's where we are at now, in this NIL era. And I think it's one of those cases with Lamar Brown to where you see A&M feel good, then you see LSU feel good, and there's a reason that that kind of waffling, I think, goes back and forth, and I think that's because Brown has given those indications, that the pendulum has swung their way. And so I really look at this right now as both staffs are, everyone is still working him, not just A&M, not just LSU. Miami's still chirping in his ear. Some other coaches are still trying to, see if there's an opening for them to get involved. And I really think that you're probably going to be seeing this mentioned in this manner all the way leading up to his announcement tomorrow.
So as far as the pitches go, both are looking for him to play defensive line. Am I correct? You're obviously in the same conference. You've got two coaching staffs that have now been there for a couple of years. Is there a significant difference there if we're talking outside of money, other than one's at home and one's kind of spreading your wings and flying the coop?
And just looking at this through, looking at it, I guess, through our untrained college football experienced eyes, you look at Mike Elko, and, he's a very, very known, well-known D-line developer over at A&M as their head coach. I think that is a really big selling point for them. But then you look over at, LSU, and you're right there close to home. And so, that I think is the biggest factor working in their favor. And look, when you're talking the number one defensive lineman in the country, we know the premium that the NFL places on defensive tackles, kind of like offensive tackles, and so translate that to the NIL game, and you're going to have that same value placed on these guys, especially when you're talking about a five-star, like Lamar Brown. And so, if you're looking at it from the LSU perspective, and from what I hear is that it's not a situation to where, Texas A&M is offering him this much in NIL opportunities and LSU has to match that number, that there's a lot of things going on for the home team that would allow them to not have to match that number. And so when you're LSU, I think that's what you're trying to maneuver right now, is trying to see, okay, how else can we illustrate, how else can we highlight the benefits of coming here, when it's not all about money. You told us in the very beginning, Coach, it's not all about money. It's, my process is not going to be all about money. So how can we point out, the benefits of staying home and going to LSU without making it all about money? And so when you talk about these, these discussions that they're having right now, these conversations they're having with Brown, I think that's a lot of it when you talk in terms of posturing, and it's not necessarily, okay, Texas A&M is offering you this much, here's $1 more, or anything like that.
So question that's impossible to answer, but I'll toss it to you just to get your thoughts. Whoever he commits to tomorrow, does the other school get some sort of unofficial visit for a football game this fall, in your opinion?
I mean, okay, let's say this kid commits to Texas A&M, and now he's in Baton Rouge, he's on LSU's campus and stuff. And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to go back and remember. We've had some U-High kids that have spurned LSU in the past, but I don't really believe any of them have done it this early in the process. Can you correct me on that? Does anyone jump out at you?
Tim Williams, then Jordan Gilbert, those guys went elsewhere.
Yeah, but do you remember it being a case to where they committed in July and they still had 6 months?
I don't think so. No.
See, that's what I'm trying to recall, and I can't really recall a situation like.
I mean, obviously Dylan Moses.
Obviously Dylan Moses. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Obviously Dylan Moses, but then he went to IMG. And so I don't think we've ever seen that situation where you've got a U-High kid who goes to school on LSU's campus, and you've got all these all these games and stuff going on and stuff, and I don't think there's any question. Now, as far as flip it over to if he commits to LSU, does he make an unofficial visit to Texas A&M? I would think absolutely so. And if he commits to A&M, I think he visits LSU. And the reason being is that this has been an LSU Texas A&M kind of going back and forth thing for quite a while now. These two schools have been duking it out for him for a long time now, and so. If he commits to one of them and you've still got 5 months to go in the process, I think the relationships that he has with both schools and with the coaching staffs on both ends are going to make it tough for him to not make at least one more unofficial visit. Now, of course, in some of these NIL deals, there's some, there could be some stipulations or whatever as far as that stuff goes, but I don't think his recruitment is even close to being over, regardless of who he commits to tomorrow.
I know y'all have got crystal balls over there at 24/7. What's your gut tell you as we sit here about 23 hours out?
And right before I came on with you, I was like, okay, I've got to tell my subscribers where I'm sitting on this right now, because I knew we were going to talk about it. And, yesterday around this time, I talked to enough people. I said, man, I really think it's close. I said, but if you put a gun to my head and you made me pick, I'd feel a little safer picking A&M yesterday. Now, if you did the same thing, I'd feel a little safer picking LSU. And that's why, and you hate to say that, but it's finally you can finally explain why you waffle back and forth and why kids waffle back and forth late in the game like this. It's because, hey, you're getting better offers, you're getting more opportunities, you're getting more money and stuff. If you'd have said that 4 years ago, man, Shannon Terry would have been wanting to fire me.
I get it, and it's one of those deals where I feel like this is me being very, very green to the game, but I feel like the fact that the insiders don't have a real handle on it tells me that neither staff probably has a real handle on it, which also, if I'm just going to deduce that down, means he probably hasn't made promises to either staff that he is not going to follow through on. He's just kind of taking his time, which to me is pretty admirable, but I'm just reading it from a long way away.
No, and I think that's pretty, and I think that's pretty accurate. I don't think from everyone that I've talked to, inside, outside the building, I have not heard one person who's told me that, look, Lamar Brown has told LSU, it's going to be them. And flipping it over, talking to people who have some of those same connections on the A&M side, they don't, they may feel good, but they don't feel like he's in the bag or anything like that, And so I really think that, I think if you're looking at it, I think A&M is probably more worried than LSU is right now, just because they know how hard it is to get a Louisiana kid out that LSU wants. But they've done it in the past. Look, Speedy Noel comes back to mind in 2014. He was a guy LSU really wanted. He went to A&M. But if you're LSU, I think you go into it a little more optimistic than pessimistic, just because at the end of the day, while Texas A&M may have more money on the table, do they check as many boxes as LSU checks with everything outside of that? your family, all of those variables.
Yeah, we'll be following along tomorrow. All your recruiting coverage, your team coverage, you can find it over there. Go 24/7. Sonny and the team over there with Glenn do an awesome job. Sonny, we appreciate some time, and we'll be tuned in tomorrow.
Absolutely, brother. You have a good one, man.
You too. That is Sonny Shipp. And I honestly, truly mean that. Obviously, y'all know I want Lamar Brown to pick LSU because he's a very highly recruited player. Looks like he's going to be a great one, and I'd like him to stay home and play for LSU because that's a team that I like. And I don't like A&M at all, and I wouldn't like it if he played for A&M and did great things there. That's just because that's what my rooting interest lies in. But really, to me, as a person, if I try to strip down those layers that are purple and gold and go, okay, just look at this objectively, the only thing you can really do to me that is, and I use air quotes here, wrong, would be to promise one thing and then pull the rug out at the end. If you do that, that's not, in my estimation, the best way to handle yourself. Now, these are 16, 17, 18-year-olds, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, especially when there's a lot of money involved, can do things that I don't think are the most ethical things in the world, and that's just part of being a kid. But it is what it is. If you just go through the recruiting process and pick one school over the other one, and it happens to be Texas A&M instead of LSU, that's not wrong. I wish it would have gone a different way. And it sounds like, just speaking to this specifically, when a high school recruit tells college coaches what he's going to do, that information gets out. It does. I know enough people in this business, they can get to the bottom of it. And nobody's gotten to the bottom of this one yet. Nobody. So to me, that suggests Lamar Brown has not promised anything to either side. And that's admirable in my estimation. You go through the process, you go on your visits. He's been to A&M a billion times. He's been to LSU every day, literally, of his high school career. And you just make that decision. Most of you that are listening to this radio station want it to go one way, but if he commits to Texas A&M and goes there elsewhere, that's a huge bummer for LSU fans, but it seems like it's been handled the right way. It seems like he's done things properly, and that's an admirable thing for somebody in his position. So appreciate Sonny for jumping aboard and helping us out with some recruiting. If you just jumped in the car and you heard that interview or maybe just the end of it, you're in luck because we're not going to go to commercial here because we had some technical difficulties at the front end of the show, and then we went to a break, and then we went to a break early. So we've still got some time in this hour without a break, so we're just going to dive right in to What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
Alrighty, first one here. What if the SEC decided to go back to divisions?
We'd have to shake some things up, or you'd have to really, really mess up the geography. You'd have to have either Texas or Oklahoma in the East with Missouri who's in the East. And if you were just going to tag one to each, you've geographically just thrown everything off. Or you could add Texas and Oklahoma to the West and then shove Auburn into the East. And you would then have what I would call pretty competitive divisions that align geographically, but you would split Auburn from LSU and Auburn from Alabama in a division, and then you'd have to figure out scheduling. And if Auburn wanted to play Georgia and Alabama wanted to play Tennessee, and then you had to do crossovers, it would be messy. It would be easier to crown a division champion, and it would be easier to deal with tiebreakers to get to the SEC championship game, which we were doing a bunch of those gymnastics in late November last year because of all the teams that are in the race to try to get it. And then you got to go through a bunch of tiebreakers, and we were looking, well, what if LSU's tied with A&M, who's tied with South Carolina, who's tied with Bama, and then Ole Miss is in there, and what do we do? So it would be doable, but you would probably have to shove Auburn into the East.
Yeah, either way, there's going to be problems. Whether you have divisions or whether we have what we have now, we're going to have situations like last year plenty of times where we're going to have to go through these different tiebreakers. There may be a coin flip at some point. That'll be interesting, but
I mean, you could also add Missouri to the West and shove Bama into the East, and then then you'd have Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, and Auburn on one side, and then LSU, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss on the other side. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. All right, next one. What if LSU wins 4 more national championships in baseball over the next 15 years, and Jay Johnson is the head coach the entire time, which is what we all expect?
So he'd have 6. He'd be the most accomplished head coach in the modern era. I mean, Rod Dedeaux won a lot of national championships in a whole different world, but Jay Johnson would be, to me, spoken in the same light as Nick Saban, in the same light as, Gino
Auriemma.
Yeah. I mean, Gino Auriemma, sure. Roy Williams, Mike Krzyzewski, like that's the type of air you would be swimming in there. I mean, he would be in consideration for the greatest coach in the history of the sport if he won 6 national championships in 18 years. I mean, he would have one more than Skip. So, I mean, Skip built it from nothing, so you'd have to give Skip a ton of credit for that, obviously. And I'm not saying he supplants Skip, but he certainly joins that conversation. I mean, if we're just playing the what if game, that's the way that goes.
All right, next one. What if Myers is a top 150 baseball prospect coming out of high school?
This is off Twitter. His odds aren't very good based on genes. Dad fielded 0 phone calls from college coaches, not even D2 or JUCO or NAIA. So we got the best NAIA program in the country in LSU.
That's true.
Just,
the Pilots.
Just 19 years later. If he's a top 150 baseball prospect coming out of high school, that'd be a lot of fun. I would enjoy watching him play a ton. The odds are not very good at that, but I would hope that he would go to LSU and play there. If that was the case.
Look, he's on the right path right now. He is trying to play as much backyard baseball as he possibly can.
I'll tell you what, Space Jam is cutting into the backyard baseball currently. There is a lot of Space Jam. Still going strong on the Space Jam?
It's
usually those are 4-week obsessions, and this is only week 2.
Oh wow! So you're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not using hyperbole at all. He's watched it 25 times in a week and a half. It's every second he's not doing something. He's still riding his bike, still eating dinner, taking a bath, like we're going to school. He's doing swimming lessons. It's not like he comes home and sits on the couch like a couch potato all day. But in the times like when he's drinking his milk before bed or like winding down, or when he wakes up right in the morning and we're trying to get the house settled, it's Space Jam every time.
All right, next one here. What if the offensive line is average? What is the ceiling?
It's not very high. If you have an average offensive line, you don't run the ball very well, and you don't protect Garrett Nussmeier to the extent that he needs to be protected, and you allow that pressure to get to him, which has forced some bad decisions. A couple against Ole Miss, a couple against Texas A&M, one bad turnover against Alabama. Like he got some pressure on the pick 6 that he got called back against South Carolina. So if your offensive line is mediocre, you're a 8-4 team, 7-5 team. Like you need really good offensive line play to make this thing hum, because the offense is supposed to be the best part of what you're doing. And if you lose the line of scrimmage half the time, more than half the time, your offense isn't going to be able to fix it. Now, Nussmeier can make some third down plays. We saw that last year when LSU was as good on third down as anybody in the country. So it's not going to be a death knell to the entire season where you go 1-7 in the league. But you need the offensive line to step up and play. Like this group does not function without that.
Yeah, you have to be able to run the ball. You really couldn't. You had a few moments where you could last year, but consistently wasn't there. So that really has to be a big part of the offense this year if they're going to win a lot of games. Next one. What if we don't get one of these 2027 quarterbacks in the high school ranks? That is.
So you're looking at the Houston kid out of Evangel. You're looking at Colton Nussmeier. You're looking at Elijah Haven.
Yeah, Elijah Haven, yeah.
It was coming. Just takes a second on the old live radio. They don't get any of them. That's a bummer, because you've got significant connections to 3 of the best high school quarterbacks in the country. One's brother played for you for 5 years. One has grown up down the street. The other one is in the state and at a high school that has been very good to LSU over the years. Guys like Gabe Relaford and Jacob Hester comes to mind. Also, Chase Pittman, also Jamari Rasco. Like, you've gotten some good players out of Evangel. So that would be a huge bummer. There are other quarterbacks in the class, so maybe you fill that with the guy that we're not talking about right now that's just as good, who blossoms in his junior year this year. or you go to the portal and you got to figure something out there. But I like the idea of getting a high school quarterback into the mix. And if you've got access to 3 of the best in the country, you need to close the deal on at least one of them. And I think that there's a good chance that LSU will.
All right, last one. What if the Cubs rescue Paul Skeens from Pittsburgh?
That would be excellent.
It would be, but it's definitely not even possible because.
Well, sir, it is. If he goes to free agency, which he is.
Okay, but the Cubs are not going to be able to. You think the Cubs are going to be able to put up as high of a dollar amount as the Yankees or the Dodgers?
They need to,
but they're not.
They should. They have the money.
They do, but what have we seen, Hunt? What have we seen the Ricketts family do in terms of these?
The question was not will they do it. The question was what if they do.
Yeah, that's true.
So you answered the question directly. It would be so awesome.
It would be.
Jay Johnson is churning out pros at an unbelievable level right now. They're just flying through systems. So the odds are the Cubs are going to get one of these guys eventually.
Yeah.
But Skeens would be the one to get. He's pretty good.
All right, that's it.
All right, this has been quite a long segment here.
It has.
On this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We're brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools. Contact my guy, Joey Blanchard, get into the pool of your dreams. He's with you every step of the way. He's the owner of the company. He's with you every step of the way. So you sit down with Joey, you go through his incredible software that's 3D and allows you to look over your dream pool design foot by foot to scale. Want to add an outdoor kitchen to that? He can do it as well. When you decide to dig, Joey's there. When you decide to fill, Joey's there. Maybe doing some of the digging if somebody takes a lunch break. And then when the job is done, Joey's there. It's a great feeling when you work with a company that is local and the owner of that company is with you every step of the way. So you know that you're not going to have any issue with customer service. Anything that arises over the course of your plan, whether it's the design, the dig, the filling, the finish, all that, Joey can help you with it. Go check out some of their work at builtbyrenaissance.com. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools, builtbyrenaissance.com. All right, come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Do something simple. Tub to shower conversion. It's the bread and butter of what One Bath and Closets does. If you've got a tub that doesn't function, that's ugly, that you don't use, that's dingy, get rid of it. A gorgeous new shower can completely transform your bathroom. You spend a lot of time in there. Add some value to your home, transform the aesthetic and the functionality of your bathroom with that gorgeous glass walk-in shower. It's not overly time-consuming. It's not overly invasive. It can be cost-effective, and there's financing available, 0% up to 18 months if you qualify for that. David Duvall's been doing this for 30 years. Let him sit down with you and talk you through what your new bathroom can look like. They do vanities. They do flooring, help with the plumbing. They got a master plumber on staff. Contact One Bath and Closets. Put your new bathroom of your dreams in your home. It's One Bath and Closets. Find them online at onebathandclosets.com.
Flight by Yingling is raising the bar by crafting the next generation of light beer. With only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, this is premium refreshment 6 generations in the making. Flight by Yingling. Raise the bar.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
You gotta believe. Dream, believe, you gotta believe, dream, believe, you gotta believe, my whole team on wild.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunnyquip.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
All right, closing out hour number 1 here. Got a lot to do in hour number 2. Robot umps, more recruiting talk, because there's another announcement tomorrow outside of Lamar Brown, and then we'll talk about Joey McGuire's thoughts from Big 12 Media Day about LSU and Texas Tech in a home and home. But we'll finish with some Saints news today. Exciting news for Saints fans as they unleashed their new alternate helmet. 10 o'clock this morning, Saints social media team blasted it out. We've seen some Saints alternates over the past decade that have been big hits. The Color Rush have been a big hit from the uniform perspective. The throwbacks look great, even if the helmet doesn't quite match. And they go with the black helmets that were alternate that were atrocious.
Okay,
just embarrassing and offensive.
Before you give us your thoughts on this,
yes,
let me play this real quick.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Hunt Palmer Show. Here's your host, Hunt, the uniform czar, Palmer. Which uniform do you hate now?
So I'm assuming that most of you who have heard my rants on LSU's alternate uniforms and alternate helmets will think he's going to think this is terrible too. And I was going to give it every chance. So I look at it, I evaluate, and I give my opinion, which is, as we all know, correct. These are okay. The white helmets are okay. I need to see it on the full Color Rush uniform. I like the gold traditional helmets better, but these are okay. It's a different look with the gold fleur-de-lis as opposed to the black fleur-de-lis. And I like the traditional helmet with the Color Rush, but this might look good. It's got the gold face mask, got the gold fleur-de-lis, the white helmets. The black helmets they came out in were just atrocious. The billion fleur-de-lis down the middle, they wore them with the Color Rush. It just completely ruined the entire aesthetic. It was awful. These, I think, have a chance to look pretty damn good. I like when the Saints wear their traditional gold pants, gold helmets. I don't like the black, lineless pants that look like tights to me. I don't like when they've gone all black with those. But if you're going to go with the Color Rush and you're going to go with the white helmet, I think this is a pretty good look. I don't love the fact that it's got a lot of dots all over it, but those are going to be completely invisible from a distance. So to me, this works. I think it's going to look good. I think the Saints have a cool color combination within the NFL. You don't see anybody else that looks similar to them. So it's not as if you're going to steal their brand away from them by putting this white helmet on. I think if you did something crazy to the Steelers helmet, I don't think I would like that. But the Saints, I think it just kind of offers a little bit of a different vibe. And I am here for that. So I think the Saints have made some missteps on uniforms over the years. I think they've had some big time hits. I don't know that this is either one of them, but if we're putting this on a 0 is atrocious, and 100 is the best you could possibly do, this is like a 75. I think it's good. I think it looks good. I think it's going to look good. I'm a little bit like projecting there because I don't know what it's going to look exactly like with the Color Rush uniforms, and I'm sure somebody in the Photoshop world has already jumped to that and thrown it together. But I am pleasantly surprised at my feelings toward this alternate because most alternates are terrible in my eyes. These, not awful. Beck?
Yeah, I like them. I do want to see. Yeah, I'm sure there's already people that have already gotten this photoshopped. In fact, I'm seeing a few photos of some. They're not exactly perfect, but you get the idea from seeing
Getting
it.
some amateurs out there throwing it together.
Yeah, and it looked. Honestly, we can probably get our Photoshop expert Cassie on the job, and it'll probably look pretty good.
I think the gold face mask to me is like a 4 out of 10, where the black face mask to me would be like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
It's an accent, so I'm not going to go nuts on that.
Yeah.
I'm more into like the actual pronounced colors. And to me, the actual pronounced colors here, I think are going to work. The question is, and the Saints have already said on their social media, we're going to wear these with our Color Rush. The question is, do you throw them on with any of the other uniforms?
Yeah.
And that's going to be interesting if they decide to do it. We saw them just use the blacks there with the Color Rush. That was an abomination that I hated. This is good, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, could they wear the white helmet with the black the away uniforms potentially?
If they go black with black pants and you just accent it,
I don't know if that works.
I don't love it.
Yeah, I don't know if that works.
And look, I'm just going off of I withhold my right to change if I see the whole thing. But I've already seen the black helmet with the Color Rush and the whole thing. Never again. And it's good. It's good that they address that pretty quickly. Because, like I said yesterday before they revealed this, the two big uniform changes the Saints have made have been the Color Rush and then the throwbacks. And the problem with the throwback is that the helmet didn't match, but it still looked good.
That's what I was hoping for. I wasn't sure what they were going to do. I was kind of hoping we maybe get the throwback helmet, but this is good too.
The throwback helmet is so different. It's so similar.
It is very similar.
You're just looking at a different tone. And if we're trying, which I believe the thought here is to have folks buy this helmet and to display it in offices and in living rooms and in studies and wherever around, you're not going to buy the alternate. You're not going to buy the throwback and the normal one. They're just too similar. You got to do something different. Black didn't work. I think that white does work. And I think the thing that I like the most is that you change the color of the fleur-de-lis. If you would have gone black fleur-de-lis with the gold outline like you will see on the normal helmet, I don't think it pops quite as much.
Yeah, I agree.
This is just a different look, and I like it. And for those that are sitting there listening going, well, LSU put a white helmet and you hated it. Well, there's a whole branding thing at play there that I don't think applies to the Saints, that more so applies to LSU. And that's my reasoning for that. And I don't think the Saints have to worry about that as much in a smaller league. And so this, to me, works. You got black and gold. Nobody else is black and gold. You got it figured out. I like it. So the Saints going in with an alternate helmet, I think it works. So that's it for hour number 1. Appreciate y'all hanging with us here on a Wednesday. About half that work week is in that rear view mirror. Got a lot to do in hour number 2, including one more commitment LSU might get tomorrow in addition to Lamar Brown, and then Joey McGuire talking about home and home with a Big 12 team. We'll do all that after our national headlines and Sports Center. Come back with us. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. I tell you this every day, but it bears repeating every day. The people you're going to work with at Genesis of Baton Rouge are just phenomenal. And it's all part of the experience of driving a luxury vehicle. You walk over to the dealership, airline at Piku, and you're going to be approached graciously as a guest. And they're going to ask you how they can help. They're not going to be pushy. They're not going to try to upsell you. They're not going to try to confuse you and pressure you. That can happen at car dealerships. It's not going to happen at Genesis of Baton Rouge. And then you get behind the wheel with Genesis of Baton Rouge, and that brand ambassador will help you test drive it, whether it's at the dealership or remotely at your office or home. And they'll walk you through the purchasing process. If you decide, okay, this is what I want, well, that's perfect. They do digital contracts and delivery. You don't even have to set foot on the lot, but the people will help you through the process. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge. Work with them. Find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com.
When it comes to industrial construction, River Parish contractors can do it all. Mechanical, structural, custom fabrication, specialized welding, and turnaround services. Strategically located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, we have the local team with the experience and commitment to safety to manage the most complex industrial projects. period. Here's the deal. Partnering with us means your project is delivered on time, on budget, and most important, safely. River Parish Contractors, let's get building.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
With bold leadership and a growing population, Louisiana is rewarding excellence, attracting high-value companies, and fueling opportunity. Louisiana is winning now, and the sky is the limit. With every region and industry growing across a beautiful state that's more than a culture, it's a community with a quality of life that's more than satisfying. It's sustainable because the Louisiana you thought you knew is better than ever now. Come home, Louisiana.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky.
This is SportsCenter.
DeLuca afternoon WNBA action. Caitlin Clark making her return for the Fever. Wasn't enough. The Valkyries take down Indiana 80-61. Veronica Burton led Golden State with 21 and 8 boards. Kayla Thornton had 18. Clark with 10 points and 6 assists in her return from injury. Clark, an All-Star Game captain, opting against taking Sky Star Angel Reese. ESPN Radio's Ken Levicka says it was smart to continue their rivalry.
Caitlin Clark did the only thing that she could do, and that's not select Angel Reese, because there has to be, in a WNBA All-Star Game, Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. It is the storyline, the prominent storyline.
Levicka on game night WNBA All-Star Game on Saturday, July 19th. Wimbledon action, Novak Djokovic on to the semis, bouncing back after dropping the first set to beat Flavio Caboli in 4. Djokovic looking for his 8th Wimbledon title. Will meet top overall seed Jannik Sinner in the semis. Major League Baseball All-Star Game set to feature the ABS Challenge System.
Your summer drink is here. Twisted Tea is a smooth, refreshing, hard iced tea with 5% alcohol, making it the perfect drink to take any day this summer to the next level. Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Hour 2, Wednesday edition in our second hours of fast-moving first hour. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Had Carius Kern. Sounds like a breakout player. At least Ori Williams thinks so. We played that for you in the first segment. Sonny Shipp talking Lamar Brown. You want to catch that on demand. You want to hear about his thoughts on Lamar Brown and what he's going to do tomorrow. We'll Go ahead and find that on demand at Hunt on LSU, wherever you find your sound. Or on YouTube, it was What If Wednesday as well. And we talked about the Saints' new helmet. So now we'll switch over and talk a little bit about baseball here, because the decision has been made, reporting by Jesse Rogers of ESPN. Major League Baseball in the All-Star game coming up in Atlanta is going to use the ABS system. If you're going, what's the ABS system? Talking about automatic balls and strikes system. This is something that they did in the spring training games, and it is something that we've seen in the minor leagues, and it's something that a lot of people think we're going to see in the big leagues next year. So what is the automatic balls and strikes? Is this robot umps? We're taking the umps out? No, we're not taking the umps out. In fact, the umps are going to be very much involved. But each team, over the course of a 9-inning game, gets 2 challenges of the strike zone. And you don't get any input from the dugout. So I think there's a reasonable faction of you that watch Major League Baseball games. There's certainly a reasonable faction of you that does not watch any Major League Baseball games. If you want to know how the challenge system works right now, like if you watch LSU play baseball, if there's a play at the plate or it's late in the game, Jay Johnson just throws the headset sign on and they just go do it. And Jay Johnson's just really aggressive with the time of the game as opposed to how bad he thinks the call is. Like he's going to challenge run-scoring plays. He's not going to challenge things that happen in the 3rd inning at second base. So that's the way that he's generally operated. But in Major League Baseball, here's how the challenge works, okay? The guy hits a ground ball to the hole at short, shortstop picks it, fires it across, bang, bang, play, umpire says safe. So the team that's in the field, that manager looks at the television screen and waits for his guy to say, yeah, challenge it or don't. And he gives the whole field the hold on sign, and he waits for them to look at the replay twice, and then he says either challenge it or don't. And it takes a while. Like it's not a great process. This is not that. This is not a manager looking at balls and strikes from the dugout and looking at the StatCast or looking at the Hawkeye or the pitch, whatever you want to call it, and then arguing every time there's one that he thinks is incorrect. Hey, look at it. You only get 2, and it can only come from the pitcher or the hitter or the catcher. That's it. And it has to be pretty instant. So the hitter cannot take a pitch, it's called a strike, look into the dugout, see if they think it was a strike based on the replay, and then challenge it after he steps out. You've got to watch the pitch go by. It's called a ball or a strike. If you don't like it, tap your helmet. You got to review it. And you get 2 a game. So to me, this is good. We have the technology to determine where these pitches are. It's like we have the technology to figure out where a tennis shot landed. We have the technology to figure out a lot of different things in sports. And one of them is balls and strikes. So I'm not saying that we need to take umpires completely out of the game. What I'm saying is if there's an egregious pitch in a big count at a big spot with a big guy at the plate and you're changing a 1-2 count to a 2-1 count, which is a monstrous swing, and you want to just tap it, okay, I'm good with that. This is going to happen 4 or 5 times per game. There are 300 pitches in a game. We're talking about 4 or 5. I think this is good. I think it can only be positive. If you think it's opening Pandora's box, like, I can't prove you wrong. But if we keep this thing on the rails, I think we're in good shape. And trust me, for those that watch college baseball that are listening to me, that go, these guys miss half the pitches. We'll be out of challenges in the 3rd inning. The big league guys are better. They've got more technology. They're graded more harshly. There are fewer of them. They're better. They usually do a pretty good job. I was actually noticing yesterday, before this story broke, there were some pitches late in the game between the Cubs and Twins last night that were really borderline that the umpire did a really good job on. There was a changeup he saw that really just dipped under the zone. It was an excellent pitch. It was an excellent take, and the umpire got it right. They're better than the college guys. But it's still really hard to do because everybody in the big leagues now throws 97 plus, and the breaking stuff is as sharp as it's ever been, and it's just a very difficult job to do. And I think if we can get a little help it's a positive. It's certainly been a positive for tennis. If you watch Wimbledon and you watch them hit the serve and then they challenge it and they go to the Hawkeye and everybody looks at the Jumbotron and they show the trajectory of the ball and they show where it landed, case closed. And then we move on. Like, it's quick, it's efficient, it goes. And this is going to be quick, it's going to be efficient, and it's going to go. If you give every team 10 challenges, we may be doing this a while. But we have the technology for a batter to sit in there and a catcher to sit behind the plate, and whichever one challenges it, instantly the umpire can go do it. They've got the Hawkeye technology. They can buzz them or give them a green light, red light, or whatever. I don't know what the technology is that's going to relay the information, but all of that can be done within 4 or 5 seconds, in my opinion. I don't know how, but if I can watch it on TV and they can immediately go to where the ball ended, they can do it for the umpires too. You have somebody in charge of every game. There's only 15 games, 16 games going on at once. Like, we can get this done quickly, and I think it is a good thing. I'm a traditionalist in baseball senses, but there are some things we're doing here that are just fine. I'm okay with the college baseball game putting the extra first base out there. Now, it can cause some issues, which it did in an LSU game where a guy slid past the bag and then came back and touched the wrong bag. If you get a wild pitch on a third strike and you got to throw down to first, they've got to switch bases. And there are some things that traditionally have to be done a little bit differently, and that's pushing it. But I'm okay with this. I think that putting a runner on second base to start extra innings is a little bit hokey, but I'm okay with the pitcher having to face 3 hitters. I don't think that's a rule that favors any team. I think that's a rule that just tries to keep pitchers in the game a little bit longer so we don't have 4 pitching changes in the 8th inning. So I'm a traditionalist, but I'm okay with doing some things a little bit differently. I got over the DH being switched, taken out of the game, or I guess put into the game on the National League side. Pitchers can't hit these guys anymore, so it is what it is. But this one is not, to me, is not different to a material level of how the game is played, like putting a runner on second base is. So to me, this is a positive. I'm for it. People are going, why are you doing it in games that don't count? Do it in the games that count. Well, it's reasonable to test it out under circumstances that aren't as significant. They don't have as many consequences. So you're doing that in spring training. You're doing it some in the minor leagues, certainly in the All-Star game. And I think this will show America, in my opinion, that this is not a big deal. And then there's now a little bit of strategy from the guys. Like, if you're the 8-hole hitter who's out there because you're a great defensive center fielder and it's the 3rd inning, like, I'm not letting you challenge. Like, you're going up there with explicit, like, unless the bases are loaded, like, I don't want you challenging because you're not a great hitter. But if I've got my 2-hole hitter up there and the count's 1-1 with 2 guys on in a 1-run game and he feels like that ball is outside, well, we got to tap there. Like, there's some strategy that the players have to be aware of when they use those challenges based on what the situation of the game is and who is at the plate and who's on the mound. So to me, I like that part of it. I like the fact that we're going to get things right. I think this is a positive for the game of baseball. If you have technology, you can use it. And they've got it. I think they can use it. So I'm pro automated balls and strike system. We'll see how that works in the All-Star game coming up on Tuesday. But I think it's a good idea. Beck, what are your thoughts on going ahead and putting automatic balls and strikes into Major League Baseball?
Yes. I don't know. Well, I mean, I know why. I think everybody knows why. This has been the last sport that could easily adopt this and should have a long time ago, but haven't, because baseball is just one of those sports that has been really slow to, innovating and developing new ways of monitor or of refereeing the sport, if you will. And it just makes sense. It's easy. Like, it's not like there's going to be too many problems with this. You get something to call balls and strikes. You still have an umpire back there to make safe and out calls, and we move on with our lives, and we don't have to worry about umpires affecting games ever again. So I don't understand why anybody would be opposed to this. It's just
the human element.
Yeah,
robots are taking over.
Who cares about the human element? Okay, they don't care about the human element in tennis anymore. They don't care about it in other sports that use this technology. So, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I know, of course, the umpires union in the MLB is very powerful, and they're going to be, I'm sure they're going to not be very happy about this. So we'll see what comes of that. But it's just way too far along that we haven't had this yet, and hopefully we have it, sooner rather than later.
we'll have it at the All-Star game, and they think we will have it next year in the major leagues. So, all right, let's keep chugging along here. LSU hopes to get a commitment from Lamar Brown tomorrow. There's another decision coming down tomorrow. I'll tell you who it is and what LSU's chances are next. Still can't go to break, can we?
Well, we could. So we got it figured out last hour, but I don't know. Something must have changed once we got to hour 2 here, and we're on have it again. So.
We apologize. Some technical difficulties going on over there, and as Jacob and Cassie well know, I don't know anything that goes on over there. So when they point at me and tell me to keep talking, I can do that. I have the ability to keep talking, and it gives me an opportunity to tell you about Renaissance Homes and Pools. If you're trying to get into the pool of your dreams, summertime is hot around here, as you well know. You can do a pool for any reason, any stage of life. Whether you've got young kids and they want to play in the pool, you can make that happen. If you've got grandkids that want to play in the pool, you can make that happen. If you're at an age where you just like to have a smaller pool that's great to hang out in, cool off, have a couple of cold drinks, you can make that happen as well. If you want to pair it with an outdoor kitchen, Joey Blanchard and his team at Renaissance Homes and Pools can help you out with all of that. So if you don't know where to start, you start at builtbyrenaissance.com. Process is seamless. It's easy, and Joey's there every step of the way. You sit down with him, look through his software, put your pool together in a 3D software package that is built to order. It's going to be exactly to your specifications, and you'll be able to see it right there. Built to scale. It's Renaissance Homes and Pools. Find them at builtbyrenaissance.com. Builtbyrenaissance.com. So still plenty to do here for the next 45 minutes. Again, to reset, we're going to do an LSU recruiting segment. In the next segment is talking about a player they could get in addition to Lamar Brown tomorrow. And Joey McGuire had something interesting to say at Big 12 Media Days yesterday about a potential home-and-home with LSU. And I also want to set the scene for tomorrow because it's going to be a big show tomorrow. We'll talk about Lamar Brown. We'll talk about a potential second commitment. And I'm going to go through LSU's entire signing class of baseball tomorrow and talk about where I see them as in MLB draft picks and whether or not LSU can keep those players in the signing class and on campus moving forward. As we discussed yesterday, it's an incredibly volatile signing class. It's got a lot of guys who are in that range where there are bigger signing bonuses available, but maybe you want to take that money or maybe you want to come to LSU and create more value for yourself. There are a lot of guys in that spot in this class, 13 of them I counted yesterday. I've had enough conversations now, I think, over the last 72 hours where I feel like I've got a reasonable handle on where things stand. We know the draft is incredibly fickle. We know that it only takes one team to do one thing that throws things completely out of where we thought they were a day ago. So I don't prescribe to tell you that, hey, all these are right. These 5 guys are coming. These 3 are not coming. These 6, I won't be right to the T, but I can give you a reasonable look at where things stand today, and we'll do that on tomorrow's show. So lots and lots to do on tomorrow's show. I think we got a chance to go to break now, so we'll give that a shot, and then we'll talk recruiting next.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Auctioner, we know healing is
let's just bring this up back because I think this was a funny story to bring up. Did you see Livy Dunn's dilemma?
Oh, the Babe Ruth apartment?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's up with that?
So Livy Dunn went on TikTok and claimed that she agreed in principle to purchase Babe Ruth's old apartment in New York City. I don't know where that is, how expensive it is, how exclusive it is. I don't know anything about the apartment. I would imagine that apartments from the 20s, 30s, 40s, whenever it was, need to be updated significantly for someone to live in them or to own them and feel good about that purchase. So I feel like that's probably true. But the problem is that she agreed to purchase the apartment, I guess a condo in this sense, and she was a week out from picking up the keys, and the board at the condo blackballed her. You can't buy. You're out.
Yeah. What did they give any explanation?
Maybe they don't want paparazzi there. Maybe they don't want a public figure living in that condo complex. And Livy was a bit bummed about that. So what are your thoughts on the folks in the NYC condo just throwing the black? I mean, famous people live in New York. It's a real thing. You got to maybe grow a backbone, I think.
Yeah, that's well, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense because if they didn't want her in the first place because of that, then why would they even let it get this far? Like, why?
Maybe they don't know about it until she agrees to the purchase, and then it's brought to the board. It's like, well, she just agreed to purchase. Like,
maybe so.
It's like, I don't think so.
If that's the case, then they need to adjust the way that they do this process, so that way the board knows who is actually trying to buy it, and they can say, oh, we actually don't want somebody like to have that level to buy it.
Well, I think this is how the kind of process goes. But like, are you going to blackball Livy? What if she wants to move in next door to you? Are you okay with paparazzi at the Beck household as the new child comes in?
It's next door, so I mean, it's not like, I mean, if they're trying to like block my driveway, then I'm just probably going to call the police and tell them to move because I don't need people blocking my driveway so I can leave. But I mean, I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
And I also think the NYC paparazzi have got better folks to follow around than Livy. Like, she is a national brand.
Yeah,
but like, we're not talking.
It's not. Yeah,
it's not Taylor Swift.
No. This is I mean, it's a little bit different level, at least right now. Anyways, I don't know. She could, of course, keep gaining more fame, but she's already definitely up there. But yeah, that's a weird situation, and you would think too that like they know. Okay, if we tell her no, then she's obviously got a very big following, and she's going to make posts about this, and that's not going to be very good reputation for them.
The question is if she and Paul are going to live there potentially. We're talking about a different city.
I mean, it would
Does that become Babe Ruth's apartment or Paul Skeen's apartment?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it makes perfect sense because he's going to end up playing for the Yankees in a few years anyway. So, I mean,
the dream is dead. I'm hoping he's going to play for the Cubs.
Well, that would be nice. But of course, as I mentioned in the what if, that there's definitely no chance of that because they're never going to match.
The Yankees are the broke team in town now.
Oh, really? The Mets. I mean, the Mets. Steve
got more money than the Steinbrenner family. A lot more money.
Yeah, that's true. So it could be the Mets or the Yankees. Either way, it's going to be probably somewhere in New York.
I'm sure that segment would go over well on WFAN if I jumped in and said, the Yankees are the poor folks in town now.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd really appreciate that.
That would be really nice.
The Mets are on some hard times at the moment. And speaking of rich teams, the Dodgers are really irritating me. They're supposed to be the greatest team that anyone's ever seen.
They're losing games.
And they go to the Brewers, and they can't win a game. They're just getting their doors blown off. I turned it on
you can't even score like a run. You score one run on the Brewers.
I turned it on 2 nights ago. It was 9-0. Well, that's a nice effort by the Dodgers, the greatest team anyone's ever seen. And meanwhile, we had to go play the Dodgers in Japan, which was a terrible start to my
The Dodgers have scored 2 runs in 2 games against the Brewers. This is
with Mizorowski out there.
Yeah. That's going to be a problem. All right. Oh, wait. Okay. Our commercial just played there for a second. Okay. There it is.
Can we keep it going?
And, well, it's spotty a little bit, seems. We're at the end of the spot now. The audio was coming in and out there on the spots. Let's see if the stab plays.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
That works.
This is quality radio.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, it worked now. So I think we can go to a break. However, unfortunately, like last time, we went through that entire break and didn't hear it, so we're already through the next one. So we got like 4 more minutes, and then we can go to the next break.
Okay, So we have 2 more breaks to play, or 1 more break.
No. We can go to 28 right now, and then we can go to break.
Okay, well that's easy to do. Okay, so let's talk about a new commitment that I don't think anyone's talking about, potential commitment, because everyone is talking about Lamar Brown. Everybody's on Lamar Brown, number 1 player in the country. Offensive line, defensive line, U-High, A&M, Texas, NIL. What the whole story is surrounding Lamar Brown at this point. And it's like, okay, I get it, but there is more potentially in the pipeline for LSU. And tomorrow there's going to be an announcement from DeAnthony Lafayette. He's from Orlando, Lake Nona High School. And last year as a junior, 17.5 sacks, 40 quarterback hurries during his junior season. He kind of set the statistics on fire there and drew a ton of interest from a lot of schools around the country. And tomorrow, he's going to decide between LSU, Miami, and Oklahoma. And to me, when you see a finalist list like that, it's like, okay, that's a guy that can make some waves. And he doesn't have elite level measurables at this point. But I trust Kevin Peoples to evaluate and to develop. And so you're talking about a 6-foot edge rusher that's 230 pounds. Usually these guys are, 6'4", 215, 6'4", 220, and they grow to 6'5", 235. He's 6 feet tall, so not the longest and leanest of edge rushers, but uber productive, and the folks that analyze that type of thing think he can be a really disruptive player on the edge. He's a 3-star recruit from On3, 24/7, and Rivals at this point, but he's a top 40 player in the state of Florida, which is a very, very talent-rich state. And generally speaking, not everybody, but generally speaking, when you play in the state of Florida, you play against really good competition. You would put Florida high school football up there with Louisiana, with Texas, with Georgia, with Ohio, with California. Like, Florida is seen that way. So I was a little bit surprised when I learned of DeAnthony Lafayette and looked at his profile and saw that he was an edge rusher, and then saw that he was 6 feet tall. But again, if Kevin Peoples sees it, like, I'm all for that every single day. And so you're looking at an edge rusher class that right now includes Trenton Henderson, and then you look at what Lamar Brown and Richard Anderson bring in terms of athleticism on the potentially interior, potentially on the edge. Those two guys are kind of like unicorns at this point. You're really starting to stockpile elite level high school talent on the defensive front, and especially guys that are their bread and butter is disrupting the passer and getting back to the quarterback and creating sacks, creating negative plays. And LSU's got to do that. Like, you cannot win at a championship level if you don't get back there and pressure the QB. And I think LSU struggled to do that 2 years ago for sure. And they got better last year under Kevin Peoples with Braden Swinson, with Savion Jones. This year, you bring Harold Perkins back into that mix, and you went heavy in the transfer portal. And I love getting Patrick Payton, and I love getting Jack Pyburn and Jamari Butler. Like, that's all great, but you got to do some work in the high school ranks to have some guys next up to fill into those spots. And so Trenton Henderson is a 5-star. Richard Anderson is a 5-star. Lamar Brown is a 5-star. And then you look up, and maybe you can add DeAnthony Lafayette as a guy that profiles very much towards the edge of a defense. So that's just one that I feel like is being overlooked by a lot of LSU fans because of Lamar Brown. And it may be a situation where you look up and tomorrow at this time, as opposed to not just having one edge rusher in Trenton Henderson, you've now got 3. And that doesn't even count Richard Anderson because he mainly plays on the inside. So it could be a quick, big couple of hits for LSU on the defensive front. And look, that's a spot to me where you have lacked the game changers necessary to be a championship level team. Like, you've had some good players, but you need game changers. Like, go turn on the film against South Carolina and Ole Miss for LSU last year. In the second half of those games, you will see a pass rush that is absolutely hellacious, that gets home to quarterbacks, that makes drives impossible, that creates third and long, that creates turnovers, and that ultimately in those two spots created wins. Like, yeah, you got to throw it around. Yeah, you got to run the ball. I've talked about LSU needing to cover better. You got to be good at everything to win championships. But one of the most important things there is to do is to win the line of scrimmage. And LSU is trying with now its 7th defensive line coach in 6 years, right? To find some stability with Kyle Williams, with Kevin Peoples, to come in and stabilize the defensive front and develop elite level talent. And I trust those guys to see that, to recruit that, to develop that, and see it through statistically and then into the NFL draft. Like, that's what I see. So nobody in Tiger Country is going to be talking about DeAnthony Lafayette at noon tomorrow. They're all going to be fixed on Lamar Brown, and we're certainly going to talk about Lamar Brown on tomorrow's show. But Lafayette is a guy that a lot of folks believe is headed to LSU. And if Miami and Oklahoma are interested, those are two schools that have recruited at a high level. And at Oklahoma, run by a defensive coach who knows what he's looking at on the defensive side of the ball. I like DeAnthony Lafayette. I think that's got a chance to be a really nice skit for LSU over two of the more storied programs in college football. So we'll be tuned. If you're looking for my LSU coverage, you can always find it at Hunt on LSU. That's Hunt on LSU. You can find that at YouTube, wherever you find your sound, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, wherever you find it. Just search Hunt Palmer Show or Hunt on LSU. Like, subscribe, rate, and review. If you like our Saints content, Hunt on Saints. You can subscribe to that as well. We were talking, the Saints are 2 weeks away from reporting. 2 weeks away. That's awesome. And then you got LSU just a week and a half behind that. So fired up for football to be creeping in, and we'll certainly be covering it all from SEC Media Days coming up next week. Step aside, come back with more. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Baton Rouge's home for real rock. It's Eagle 98.1. Foo Fighters. Led Zeppelin. AC/DC. Pearl Jam. And the flagship home for LSU sports. Take us anywhere with the Eagle 98.1 app. Eagle 98.1 is the rock station.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
ED, low T, or simply seeking to optimize your health and performance? Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness offers a range of discreet services to address your specific needs. We empower men to reclaim their health and confidence. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
At Sunshine, we know what you see when you look at your land. Where others may see dirt, you see the foundation you've built your life on. This, it's hallowed ground. It's past, present, and future. We're proud to provide quality John Deere equipment to help you maintain the land you love. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunnyquip.com.
These are the luckiest ice cubes in the world. They could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar, but instead, they've been called upon to cradle and cool a crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Looks like the lucky just got luckier. Dos Equis.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Winding our way through this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. If you're in Baton Rouge, hope you're staying remotely dry out there, staying safe on the roads. Had some rain late morning, early afternoon here in the capital city. Hopefully that's out of here this afternoon. So the Myers man can play some baseball and ride bikes. That's what we're hoping for here. Got to get the energy out.
Yeah, we don't need
one way or
Space Jam
another.
anymore.
I mean, it's going to happen. He's already watched it once today, all the way through. So it's going to happen again.
You're going to know every word of that movie by the end of this.
Pretty much know them all. It's not very long, and it's not very sophisticated. So I've pretty much got them all licked there. The Big 12 had its media days yesterday, today, and they had a coaches roundtable, which is not something they do at SEC media days. Just too much chaos there to get that done. But they did it at Big 12 media days, and I don't even know what the question was that got Joey McGuire to talking about.
It was out of conference,
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know what he started talking about. I don't know what the question was directed toward. But he talked about one of the things Brian Kelly said at SEC spring meetings, which was talking about he'd love to play a Big Ten team every year with an SEC Big Ten Challenge, that type of thing. And Joey McGuire tossed his hat in the ring and said what he'd like over at Texas Tech.
I know you said it a couple years ago, to where we all of a sudden now have cross-conference games that we're playing each other. I think that'd be a great way to do it. You know, I saw Brian Kelly say he'd love to play a Big 10 team. Hey, man, I would love to play LSU, you know, home and home series, and whoever plays that, then, you know, we look at the rankings and everything like that.
So he's just essentially, I don't have any malicious intent toward this segment at all. I don't care about Texas Tech. I don't think Joey McGuire was stepping out of bounds at all. I don't think he was puffing his chest at all. I think he was suggesting, hey, we're here at Texas Tech. I think a lot of people don't think the Big 12 is worthy of 2 playoff spots. And so I'll throw my hat in the ring. I'd love to play LSU. Well, I'm sure Texas Tech would love LSU to come to Lubbock. Like I don't have any doubt that he would love to have Alabama come to Lubbock, to have Florida come to Lubbock. I have no doubt about that. Also, the SEC is in a right now contractually obligated to play a out-of-conference Power 4 team. There's only 4 conferences. So there's 3 conferences to choose from. You got to play somebody from the Big 12, ACC, or Big 10 every year. But it's just, to me, like the whole thing around the Big 12, you can kind of see what they're doing, and I don't blame them for doing it, but it's pretty obvious. Like Brent Yormark is their commissioner. And if you missed this week, the Big 12 is not releasing a preseason poll this year. Not because they think they're worthless, not because they think it's a waste of time. They're not doing it because they feel like last year when Arizona State was picked last in the conference, that result in July painted them in a negative light by the committee, who was reluctant then to move them up in the seeding. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but you understand the position from which that conference is occupying to do something like that. The SEC just doesn't care, because if Kentucky gets picked 16th next week and they go 7-1 in the league and beat Louisville, they're going to the playoff. If Vanderbilt goes 8-0 in the SEC after getting picked dead last, they're going to the playoff. Even if they lose the conference championship game, they're in the playoff. We saw it. So the Big 12 feels like their only guaranteed lot is their conference champ, and everybody else is going to be dismissed. So they're now doing everything they can from their perspective to try to prop their schools up. If that means we're scrapping the preseason poll, fine. If that means we need to beg and plead for the big bad Big Ten and big bad SEC to come play Kansas State and Texas Tech and Baylor, well, they'll do that. And that's the position from which they operate. And this was always going to happen when Texas and Oklahoma left. Because candidly, and I don't even care who disagrees, I don't think you have a leg to stand on. That league was Texas and Oklahoma. And when Texas and Oklahoma left, you became a less than conference. You became, in my eyes, not too different from the MAC, not too different from some of those other leagues. That's not to say that there isn't a football team in that league in a given year that's good. They're going to have some quality teams here and there. But the quality of the conference overall, from top to bottom and certainly in the middle, is poor, relatively speaking, to the SEC and the Big Ten. And there's not a single program in that conference that right now has the ability to stand up year after year, not for 40 minutes, not for 60 minutes, for 4 hours, for a year, to stand up to Alabama, to stand up to LSU, to stand up to Ohio State, stand up to Michigan, to stand up to Florida or Penn State or Tennessee. They just don't. And to me, no amount of PR is going to change that. And that's all we're talking about here. And again, I'm being very, very open here. I'm not being malicious towards Joey McGuire. He's the head coach at Texas Tech. His job is to promote Texas Tech, to recruit to Texas Tech, to coach Texas Tech, and to win at Texas Tech. So why should he diminish that league or that program? We all know what Texas Tech is. There's a reason they haven't won 10 games in 10 years. It's actually been since, I believe, 2008. But it's his agenda. And Brent Yormark has an agenda. He's got a league that was crippled. We all know it was crippled. You know it was crippled. He knows it was crippled. He's not going to say it was crippled. He's got a job to do to make sure it looks as functional as possible, but it's crippled. Because TCU and Baylor and Kansas State and Arizona State can't prop up a league that matches Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU, and Tennessee. It just can't. And they can't match Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State either. So I think there are some LSU fans who are like, oh, Joey McGuire, we're not playing Texas Tech. Like, shut up. And that's not why I'm here. I think it's great that Joey McGuire wants to play LSU. And LSU may call Joey McGuire over the course of the next 10 years because they have to play somebody in a quote-unquote power conference. And trust me, I'd much rather go to Lubbock than Clemson. You know that. Much rather. But that has nothing to do with what Joey McGuire's talking about. And there's probably a little bit of bravado there where it's like, hey, we can compete with anybody. We'll play anybody, anytime, any place. But really, more so, it's PR. It's the Big 12 who's getting media days as a whole started, who's trying to steal some headlines, who's trying to make everybody believe there's something that we all know they're very much not. So Joey McGuire can keep talking, and he's doing a nice job there. They've won 8 or 9 games the last 2 years, and that's fine. And if he wants LSU to come to Lubbock, that's all well and good. I don't think it's going to happen imminently because LSU is showing right now they have an appetite for scheduling the elite of the elite, and Texas Tech didn't qualify. Now, neither does SMU, and LSU put that on the schedule moving forward, so maybe Joey's got something coming his way. And maybe there are SEC teams that are willing to go out there and play. But to me, I look at that, and it's like we opened the show, where a lot of press conferences and things that we're going to hear in SEC Media Days and next week is just a lot of yapping and not a lot of substance. And that is yapping with not a lot of substance, but it is going to draw some headlines. One, because of he called out a coach in school directly, and two, because we're in early July where there's just not a lot going on in the news cycle. But I'm not mad at Joey McGuire. I think he's doing his job. I just think that that's what he's doing as opposed to saying, hey, we can take anybody. They can point to Arizona State last year, and I know my guy Jay Kester would do that in 2 seconds. Look, see, it's a really good team. I don't know if they are. We'll see. They'll be picked towards the top this year by those outside Big 12 media days where they don't have a preseason favorite because they don't want them to be held accountable when it comes to playoff time and they don't win the conference. Just a lot of semantics, a lot of politics, and that's what this time of year is for. It's talking season, baby. We'll be doing a ton of that coming up from Atlanta next week. We've got one more segment to go. We will step aside, come back, and close out this Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisbatonrouge.com is the website. Every single car on the line, from the entry level to the highest end, from the sedan to the SUV, every single vehicle is an IIHA top safety pick. Some of them are top safety picks plus. When you're going to buy a vehicle, you know that safety is going to come up. For some, it's number 1 line item. For some, it's 2 or 3, but it's right there. It's important. Genesis takes that seriously. And that's why they've been honored in the way they have for the safety of their vehicles. You'll know immediately when you get behind the wheel how comfortable and stylish and how advanced technologically a Genesis is. What you can't know by just sitting in it is how safe it is. That's what they test them for, and that's what I'm telling you. It's one of the safest cars on the road. So go by and see them. Airline at Pico across from Women's Hospital. Check them out online, genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's genesisofbatonrouge.com.
These ice cubes could have been a thankless bed for an all-you-can-eat salad bar. But instead, they cradle and cool the crisp, refreshing Dos Equis. Nicely done, ice cubes.
Parish Construction and Roofing. This is Coach Kim Mulkey. Go to parishbuilt.com for all of your roofing needs. From your hometown, parishbuilt.com.
It's not just a game, it's a religion. You've got your team colors, team swag, and now your very own website. LouisianaSports.net. Everything LSU, Saints, and Pelicans. Sports on demand. In-depth coverage by sports writing pros with continuously updated news. And with the LouisianaSports.net newsletter, you get pinged directly with top trending stories. Best of all, now and always. No paywall. It's free. LouisianaSports.net. Powered by 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Your home for Louisiana sports.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
At Luba Workers' Comp, our journey began over 30 years ago with a simple belief. Our clients come first.
At Luba, our business has always been focused on people, not policies.
Through every success and challenge, we've continued to grow because we've stayed true to our values, committed to providing you with genuine dependability.
Because your well-being is more than a priority. It's our purpose.
Man, age is just a number. Don't let it dictate how you feel. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness has anti-aging services that can help you look and feel your best. Visit yourgoodwood.com and discover a renewed sense of vitality.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful communities.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Renaissance Homes and Pools.
Parish Construction and Roofing brings you live coverage of the 2025 SEC Football Media Days. Join our team next Monday, July 14th through Thursday, July 17th, as we take you inside college football's premier conference by hearing from the biggest names and newsmakers in the sport. The 2025 SEC Football Media Days is also presented locally by Rev and Relief Windows. Watch our coverage on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel and read about it at LouisianaSports.net, where, of course, I'm sure Hunt Palmer will be writing articles for that. It's the 2025 SEC Football Media Days powered by Parish Construction and Roofing.
I will be writing articles from there. I'm thinking about how to approach it because I haven't been in a long time. Obviously, Monday will be easy. It'll be very busy, but easy because LSU's there, and I'll have lots of storylines to cover there. The rest of the time, it's just interesting. Like, do I write LSU opponents? I think I'm going to do, because I'm going to be walking around a lot, be in different rooms, talking to a lot of different people, I think I'm going to do a daily recap It's just kind of like a blog post. It's just like the buzz from media days, because I think part of the interesting component to media days is the analysts and radio hosts and journalists and beat writers talking. Not that they know more than the players or the coaches, they don't, but they have stronger opinions and are willing to talk about it. And I've talked about the coach speak at these events all week, and I don't back down from that at all. So I'm curious to kind of get a pulse on how people are feeling about various teams in and around the hotel.
Yeah.
I also know that when I was there, it was at the in Hoover at that I can't even remember the name of it now. That's sad. It's I can't think of the name of the hotel. They had media days in it every year. It'll come to me in this segment, but everybody was there. Like, it was just it was constant in the hotel bar, in the restaurant at the end. They had a Shula's there. Like, it was just, you were always around people that were willing to talk, and the conversations got looser as the night went on with the beers flowing. I know that in the hotel we're staying at, there is a sports bar. I think we're close to where things are. Like, we'll see how that kind of ramps up. But I'll do a daily recap, I think, of just kind of the buzz from media days. Is an idea that I have currently.
Yeah, that sounds like it'll be pretty good.
We shall see. Let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Just take it.
Alrighty, first one here. UCF coach Scott Frost made some waves with what he said at their media days. I think it was today or yesterday, I'm not sure, but he was asked about what he learned from his time as head coach at Nebraska and said, quote, "Don't take the wrong job." You agree with him? Take it or leave it?
I'll take it. I certainly agree with him. Don't take the wrong job. I'm curious why he thinks Nebraska was the wrong job. It feels like he should know what Nebraska is.
Yes, he should.
Played them there. Got a trophy there.
Yes. They have high expectations.
They do, and it was never a fertile recruiting ground. It was not a fertile recruiting ground when you were there. It's not a fertile recruiting ground now. So it's a passionate fan base. There is some money there. It's in a difficult league. Like, they haven't had a lot of success in the last 25 years. I don't know what he could have learned there that would have been shocking, other than we don't have any dollars for NIL ever. And we don't. I don't know what he could have been surprised by. I agree with his premise. I think that he probably contributed to the downfall as significantly as the folks at Nebraska did, is my guess.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, look, people are people, and maybe you didn't have as much support to hire staff as you wanted, or maybe you didn't like the athletic director 4 months after. Like, I don't know, but I think that was a bit of a strong thing to say about your alma mater.
All right, next one here. Strawberries and cream at Wimbledon. Take it or leave it.
I've never had it because I've never been to Wimbledon, but I would take it.
I'll
like
take
strawberry. I like cream. I like cold. It seems like it would be very good. My guess is that it's overpriced for what it is.
Potentially.
It's just a hunch. But maybe they don't do that.
Maybe it's
Europe.
maybe it's like Augusta, where they just have everything priced normally.
Maybe in Europe they don't do that like we do here in America, where we gouge everybody for every cent for everything.
I think.
How much could you possibly pay for strawberries, cream, and what is it, shortcake?
Yeah, it can't be a lot.
That's free.
To me, I kind of view Wimbledon similar to the Masters, like in terms of like just the
dress code.
The dress code. They have all these rules. You know, they call.
Gotta wear white.
Yeah, I think they call the fans something specific at Wimbledon too. And they say like gentlemen and ladies when they talk about the different draws. Yeah, so I think maybe that the pricing would maybe be okay. We'll have to do some research on that.
I would like to go to the All England Lawn and Tennis Club once in my day. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I'd like to do it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. All right, next one, pricey sunglasses. Take it or leave it.
Ooh, we had a bad story about that at the lake this week. Not me. I got out of that game years ago. But we had a pair of pricey sunglasses that took a bite.
You gotta if you're going on water, you gotta have the thing you connect. You gotta have something that keep them floating.
So my cousin had hers clipped to her shirt.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And she leaned over to the lake, and they fell right in.
Yeah.
She watched them fall right in. And like, pricey can mean anything to anybody. To some, a pricey pair of sunglasses is $25. Some it's $50. There's probably $300 sunglasses out there.
Oh, there's even more than that.
I know there's $300. I know there are probably $1,500 sunglasses like folks that are celebrities wear. But I'm out. Like, I can't keep up with them. I can't keep up with them on the golf course. I can't keep up with them in my car. I can't keep up with them if I go on a flight. I can't keep up with them if they fall in the lake. I'm going to the gas station and I'm buying them for $11. That's where I am on sunglasses.
Yeah.
I like pricey sunglasses. If I was guaranteed to keep them, I would get some that were more expensive than the gas station. But I can't keep them. And we know this. It was proven out in college just after that. It's over. I can't do it. We're going with the only thing that I have that I would, for my budget, I would consider fairly pricey would be this watch that my wife got me for her first anniversary, and somehow I've kept it for 4 years. I don't know how.
Well, I think
it's a miracle.
The watch is a little bit easier than sunglasses.
It is,
I think you don't really take it off very often, except for when you're at home.
I take it off to play golf, which is I left it one time, and it was there in the cart. We got it back, but it's when I got this watch, I went,
man,
that's going to be a problem.
Yep.
It's just setting up for failure because I'm going to lose it, and that's going to be a disaster. I really like it, and I've kept it for a while, so hopefully we can keep that going.
All right, last one real quick. This has been going crazy on social media, but there was video of a couple of golfers that got into it.
Oh, my God.
And
don't even get me started.
Yeah, it was in Canada. Apparently, there was some slow play involved. The groups were at odds with each other. And one of the guys decided he was going to pretty much give an open invitation to the other group to say, if you want to, try to fight me, then go ahead. Not knowing that one of the other men was a former NHL hockey player.
And not only that, an enforcer. Like a guy who was out there to get in fights.
Yes. Knowing your opponent, take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. You don't get an opponent. How about that? How about no opponents?
Yeah.
If you get into here's the deal. I'm not even going to pull, to use a bad pun, not even going to pull any punches. If you get into a fist fight on a golf course, you're an idiot. You are an idiot. You are an idiot.
Yes, I agree.
There is nothing that's going on that golf course that is going to warrant a fist fight. In my opinion, there are very few things on planet Earth that warrant a fist fight. Now, some of you vehemently disagree with that. Somebody's playing slow? Who? That's part of golf. Everyone plays slow. It's public golf. You're out there. Everyone sucks.
Yep.
These guys, I can tell by looking at them, weren't very good, and it's going to be slow. You're out there for 5 hours. People are drunk. Turn on some tunes. Have another beer. Like, a fist fight is just the lowest form of humanity to me. And everyone disagrees with me, and they think that it's great to have somebody that can kick your ass every once in a while. It's like, I got no use for it. Nobody needs to be getting in fights at bars. Nobody needs to be getting in fights on golf courses. Nobody needs to get in fights in Mardi Gras parades. Stop getting in fights. It's stupid.
Man.
Just walk away. Why do you care what people are? And this guy that got into the fight is a clown.
Yes.
This guy he's about to tee off. He's coming off. He's screaming like, woo! I don't care how drunk he is. You're a lunatic. And I just can't deal with it. That's my take on it.
It was bad.
It's just ridiculous. And there are so many people driving around listening to me that think I'm the idiot for that take. Good fist fights, good for everybody. No, it's just put a smile on. Hit some golf shots. It's a happy place out there. If you're at a bar, grab a beer. Don't punch somebody. I've done enough. Matt's next with After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place.
The Hunt Palmer Show.